Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the Administration for Community Living, and the Indian Health Service, I would like to welcome everyone to the Long-Term Services and Supports webinar series. My name is Kim Blessing, and I work for Kaufman and Associates. I'll be your moderator today. Today's webinar is HomeFit and Caregiving. Before we begin, I would like to highlight the main features of your Zoom webinar interface. First, the presentation slides are the main window, and the speakers will appear at the top just above the presentation. At the bottom of your screen is the Zoom menu bar. Here you'll find the Q&A box. We encourage you to use this feature to submit any questions at any point during the webinar. We will leave time for a Q&A segment to address all questions at the end of the webinar. At the bottom of your menu bar, you will also find a chat box. Please use the chat box to report any technical issues you may be experiencing. We will respond to those concerns as they come in. Another menu option is the raised hand icon. Please use this feature when you would like for us to unmute your line to ask a question aloud during the Q&A segment. Additionally, live captioning is available during today's broadcast. Just click the CC icon from your bottom menu bar to use this feature. Finally, please be aware that today's webinar is being recorded. That recording will be made available online in the near future on cms.gov. If you would like a copy of the slides sent to you directly, please email ltssinfo@kaufmaninc.com, and we will insert that email address into the chat box. With those announcements made, I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Please note this webinar series is supported by a contract awarded by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this webinar are those of the presenters and do not necessarily represent the official position or policies of the Department of Health and Human Services or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I would like to introduce our presenter, Michelle Sauerjohn. Michelle is the Associate State Director of Community Outreach for AARP. Thank you all for joining us today. Michelle, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Hello and welcome. Hesches, don't go. My name is Michelle Sauerjohn, and I'm so thrilled to be able to speak to you today. And we appreciate you for joining us for this really important talk. Today, we're going to be talking about how to make your home fit for ourselves, for our parents, our clients, and our friends. It's really important to have this conversation now before an urgent needs arises. It's not unusual for us at AARP to receive a phone call from a family member or a healthcare worker or a discharge planner stating that a loved one has had a stroke, an accident, or a health decline, and they need a ramp or they need a home modification within days or hours of being discharged. And so we want people to be prepared with this information ahead of time. So whether it's your own home or your loved one's home, one way to make a home more livable for people of all ages is to incorporate design principles and products that are adaptable, that are safe, and easy to use. Such smartly designed features can be very attractive, stylish, and come in all price points. And so the AARP Home Fit Workshop, we're going to show you how that's all possible. Next slide. Just as a reminder, if you do have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll be happy to address those during our Q&A at the end of this presentation. AARP, we created this workshop because several years ago, we surveyed people from across the country, and an overwhelming response of 98% of the participants said that they wanted to remain in their own homes as long as possible, and they wanted to remain in their homes as they aged. In this session, we're going to show you some components that will help promote independence and safety to make your home a lifelong home. And we're going to talk about perks of how to make your home fit. We'll talk about universal design and how to create space that is usable for all people, and the different areas of your home to make it more home fit. So your exterior, doors, home, we'll talk about home smart features, your entry, kitchens and bathrooms, and all in your living spaces. And we'll talk about some home modifications that are quick fixes and others that are really maybe hard to do that you really should contact a contractor for those. I'll talk about this more at the end of the presentation, but there's really no need to create detailed notes. We have at AARP just newly updated our Home Fit Guide, which is a complete overview of the information that's going to be highlighted in this presentation. And it really goes into detail about each concept that we're going to cover today. So you can go to aarp.org/homefit. That's aarp.org/homefit at any time during this presentation and download that Home Fit Guide and also look through some of the incredible resources that we have available. We will have some additional Home Fit resources, including Home Fit, the bathroom, additional considerations for you as well on there. Next slide. So our goals with these workshops is really to help people create or modify their homes to be suitable for any resident or any age or physical ability, and also allowing older adults who want to live independently and making their homes into lifelong homes. By the end of this presentation today, we hope that you're going to be able to recognize how a home can be modified to support changing needs, and then also determine which modifications are important to maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and also distinguish which modifications are a do-it-yourself, a DIY, or that's an item that should be left up best to the professionals. Next slide. The modifications that we present today is really going to vary in cost and difficulty level. However, when you consider that per month, private duty home health aid cost is around $4,300, adult daycare outside of the home can cost around $1,600 per month, assisted living costs can run around $4,000 per month, and a nursing home cost can run around $7,500 for a semi-private room per month. So we think that you'll see that many of these changes are much more economical than and the work that needs to be done to be able to remain in your home is worth the effort. As far as some of those costs, those are national average costs. If you want to find out some local average cost, Genworth has created a terrific site. You just simply Google Genworth and cost of care, and you can put in your local addresses and it will generate the cost of care in your area. So if you're doing this presentation yourself, you can find those local information. And then I also do want to mention that AARP, we do know that people that tend to live in their own homes tend to live longer, healthier lives. Next slide. So universal design, it may sound technical, but it really refers to a simple concept. Universal design is an approach to designing products in your environment that will accommodate all people, including those with physical, cognitive, or even sensory impairments. And universal design, along with livability and visibility, is the basis of our Home Fit Guide. When we talk about how to modify your homes, we think about additions that could accommodate all people regardless of their age or their abilities. Making modifications that are low maintenance and energy efficient can improve the ability of your home, and also making home modifications so that anyone, whether they're in a wheelchair or have mobility issues, can visit and improve your visibility of your home. So these also include a 0-step entrance, wider doorways, and at least a half bath on the main floor. And we'll go into details about that as well. So remember that these homes, when you are designing them, it's for all people throughout a lifetime. So we could be talking about accessibility for a toddler, strollers, or even an aunt that's visiting in a walker. So be able to do that comfortably. A couple of years ago, we had some friends building their home, and I gave them the Home Fit Guide, and I told them to make sure that they are incorporating some of these designs into their home. And at first they said, well, we're not going to have to worry about that, until later in life. And I asked them, if one of your parents has a life-altering occurrence, do you plan on moving them into your home or having them stay with you for a while? And they said, of course. And then it's then when they really got it. It's about livability and visitability. And once they saw how also designing universal design into your home can also be beautiful and inviting to others. Next slide. So let's begin with talking about the exterior. Whether it's a house or an apartment, the exterior doorway should always allow for smooth transition in and out of your property. Many homes have steps going into the entrance, which can make the home inaccessible for someone who uses a wheelchair or relies on crutches or has difficulty climbing stairs. The idea is for homes to have at least one zero-step entry doorway. If a step-free access isn't possible for your front door, a side door or a back door, or possibly a door in the garage may be more suitable to create that. And another solution is ramps, and we'll also go into that a little bit later. We had a neighbor that used to visit us almost daily until she had a disc rupture in her spine, and she became wheelchair bound. We have just a single 3-inch step on our front porch, and her wheelchair that she now had to use could not go over that rise, which prevented her from coming over often, which also escalated into isolation and depression. So again, universal design is just not about promoting livability, but also visitability. Next slide. So outdoor lighting on your exterior is so important for safety reasons. You'll want to make sure that at least one entry light is at least a height where somebody can change those bulbs and not have to get onto a ladder. And then also consider doing some pathway lighting that leads up to the front door that allows visitors and delivery people to safely approach your front door. And then also solar lights are so inexpensive now and really easy, of course, to install. Finally, prominently displaying your address numbers really helps delivery persons and first responders find your home. You want to explore illuminated numbers or numbers made of shiny, reflective, or glow-in-the-dark materials so that they are visible at night. If you'll note on this presentation, there are some green stars on some of the slides, and that will also indicate that these are some really quick fixes that you can do yourself as well. Next slide. So at the beginning of this year, this spring, we decided to integrate these universal designs into our own home, and we did a full remodel. This is our exterior of part of our garage. And we do have very large numbers that go over the very top of our garage. But what I discovered at night when the lights come on, the numbers fall within the shadows of our outdoor lighting and you can't see them at all at night. So in an emergency, you really want first responders to be able to see your address day or night. To fix this, I ordered an inexpensive plaque online and placed it under an exterior lighting. And so it just added so much nice curb appeal that afterwards we had at least 5 neighbors on our street they just did the same. They ordered the same plaque. And so it looks really nice. Next slide. So as I mentioned, a zero-step entrance is so important. Zero-step entrances are accessible to all people, whereas a raised entry and steps may be a challenge for people with mobility issues. It's so important to keep in mind that a zero-step entrance does not have to be created in a front door. So you can also look at maybe in a garage door or a side door if that's necessary. Keep in mind that you also do need to determine whether or not it's practical to create a zero-step entrance with landscaping in the side of your yard. So you can contact a contractor or an occupational therapist to discuss some of those options. Next slide. Now, this is not my home, but it's a really great example. Here you have 2 steps leading into a home, and it should be noted that for every inch that you have in a rise, that you're to create a ramp or a slope, you need for every inch, you need to allow for a foot slope. So for these two steps, the slope, these are two 5-inch steps. So you would need a 10-foot actual slope to be able to create. And you could put in a ramp, but you could also just kind of build this into the design of your home. We will talk about ramps, but one thing that I do want to alert people is that if you do put a ramp, try to build that into the design of your home as much as possible, because if you've got car artists driving by, and they see a ramp, the first thing that they're going to think is that there's someone vulnerable inside. And so you want to kind of camouflage that as much as possible. Next slide. So this is the same home with just creating a slope, and then also creating some beautiful landscaping in the side. So not only have you created a wonderful no step entrance, but it looks great. You don't even miss the steps, and it just looks, there's also a rain runoff, and it looks amazing. Next slide. So when there's just not a way possible to do that, you just want to make sure that your steps are safe, that there's railings on both sides, that the steps are really well lit, free from any obstructions, and then also make sure that the steps are long enough and wide enough to be able to accommodate walker steps. Which walker steps are generally at least 22 inches deep and at least 4 inches high. And so this will allow, for a walker or a cane to be able to easily get up and down those steps. And then next slide. If you do have to use a ramp, try to build it into the design of the home. A friend of mine that's an occupational therapist had a ramp poured around her steps. She's moving her mom in, but had a ramp poured around the steps. And then she also encased both of those into a retaining wall. So it looked like just from a street view, you couldn't see that it was actual ramp that she had created, but it just looked like a really beautiful porch. And so in this photo, you'll see that there are threshold ramps and then also temporary ramps, a permanent ramp, and then a threshold ramp. And these threshold ramps, and I'll talk about those as well, those will kind of help if you do not have a flush threshold. This will kind of help you get over those. Those threshold ramps you can purchase at any hardware store or online. They come in the little metal ones. I prefer the rubber ones because they tend not to slide, and both of those you can actually trim down, but the rubber ones are much easier to trim down. Next slide. If you do need to install a vertical platform, these are available. Again, if you can camouflage those, it's great. But these are vertical platforms. They are expensive, and you definitely want to make sure that you hire a licensed professional for those to install. Next slide. Just an example of a threshold, a zero threshold. Whenever we remodeled our house, this is my front door. I installed one of these. This is completely flat. And then the sweep is actually, as you can see, it's at the bottom of the door. So it's still energy efficient and allows for easy navigation. And it looks pretty as well. Next slide. So let's drill down a little bit more into the entry of your home. Next slide. And when planning accessible entryways, the most important consideration is the size of your door. You want to make sure at least doorway openings are at least 32 inches to allow for a wheelchair to pass through, and then also a height of at least 50 inches. When possible, just again, make sure that those thresholds are less than 3/4 of an inch tall. If they're any taller than that, it's really hard to get. I bought my mom, when we moved her in with us, a scooter, and the scooter would not go over the 3.5 inch. So we had to actually do a little threshold ramp. And then also so these are, if you're unable to widen your doorways, this hinge that you see here in front of you is an extender. You can purchase these online or at any hardware store. They're very inexpensive. And if you've ever bought a piece of furniture and you measured it before you left, you measured your doorway, and then you get it home and you realize that it's not going to fit because of the door, the butt of the door, you didn't account for that. Well, these hinges take that out of consideration because it allows you to pull the door open and then swing it behind the door jamb. So these are really great space savers as well. Next slide. So if the door doesn't have a glass panel and there isn't a window nearby, you want to make sure to install a peephole. I have also seen people install peepholes both high and then also low for children and also persons in wheelchairs. Another option, of course, now is a lot of the video doorbells that we, like the Rings or the different security doorbells that are paired with your smartphones. So those are great. Also, you want to install level handled style doors because doorknobs are so much harder, especially if you have arthritis, to open those doors, and those thumb latch, the level handles are so much easier to open, especially if you have your hands full of groceries or you have any type of arthritis or anything like that. And then there are higher tech solutions for entryway locks. There's some digital door locks, so you don't have to worry about fumbling and finding keys, but those are also available for you as well. Next slide. So this is an example of our front door. We did add a Ring doorbell and installed a new peephole as well. And then we did new hardware. And if you'll notice, we did a deadbolt and then found a level style handle that does not have the lock actually on the handle, because sometimes you can lock yourself out. And so just think about that when you're looking at purchasing new handles. Next slide. So now that we've reviewed several elements that are important to the exterior, let's talk a little bit about some smart home features that can help you in your home. So imagine some of these new smart home features. You can adjust your thermostat. From the sofa, you can turn on your favorite radio station, your television. You can do your shopping list, so there's the technology is so incredible these days. Next slide. Some of the home-based automation systems and products like Google Home or Alexa or Amazon Echo that are equipped with the smart speakers, you're able to provide real-time information and perform home-based tasks such as calling a loved one. That's one thing I always worried about my mom, if she got too far away from her phone or if she had dropped it. These are great resources. Of course, she was always concerned with the security of it. So if you're caring for a loved one and present some of these options, just make sure that they're comfortable with some of the features on there as well. And then also you can also consult a professional in setting up the system and the privacy and the security issues with those around those as well. Next slide. So there's also some inexpensive low-tech options that you can find. For my mom, we found some really inexpensive remotes that would turn on and off her lights, her television, her radio, her computer. And there's also some motion censored options out there as well. But you'll just want to contact an occupational therapist, and they can also offer you many different solutions for you as well. Next slide. Most homes have some sort of transition area as soon as you come into your entry door, and that space should always be free of any clutter. And if you can, provide some storage for things that you've carried in or worn, and have also some natural lighting in that area. Next slide. You should also consider equipping that space with a small table or even a wall-mounted shelving for storage of car keys, wallets, shopping totes, mail. I know I'm always looking for my phone and my keys, and so I try to always put them in one area, so it'd be great just to have them by the door. And then also adding a bench to the space provides a place where you can put down groceries, remove your shoes safely, sit down if needed. And then finally, if there's no closet in that area of your home, consider just adding some wall hooks for coats and hats in that area. Next. So here's in our home, we placed a bench in our entryway. We find that when family and friends come over, it's a place where purses automatically go and groceries. And so it's a great area, and it is it's more used than I thought it would be. So regardless of how many rooms a home has, residents and guests tend to always gravitate toward the kitchen. And so, making sure that your kitchen is safer and easier to use for all your visitors and yourself is so important. Next slide. You want to create a space where you can do food prep, where you can sit down. And then I personally I have used my dining room table because it butts right up into our kitchen. I'll create a dedicated prep space. Next slide. And there's lots of many things to really consider when you're making your kitchen accessible. And those range from quick fixes that and to harder remodels that require a professional help. Some of the quick fixes for the kitchen includes reorienting adjustable lighting, and then also adding maybe the stick under cabinet lighting, so to shine down more light on more commonly used workspaces. Modifications that require help for professionals include changing out your cabinets, since frequently used items are best stored between the hip and the shoulder area height. Adding lower level cabinets with pull-out shelves and extra shelving in that storage items of different heights really can make a difference for people and making it more accessible. Next slide. Handles and hardwares can be easily modified, but may be required for professional in some instances. But really first consider for the handles for your existing cabinets is using those D-shaped pull-out handles versus the little knobs. So those little knobs are really hard for grasping and pulling those out. Highly recommend the lever style or light touch or century faucets. Those are easy to use. Of course, they're more sanitary and they're much easier to use than individuals in turning off the kind of the knob style. Next. So when considering appliances, there's lots of different options out there and helpful features to choose from. Some things to keep in mind is also, and I always tell, of course, my mom, any of her friends, is making sure that the microwave is placed either on a cabinet level. There for a long time, these microwaves were placed above the ovens for space saving. Or they were very high, which is very dangerous. And it's also hard for people that if you have shoulder issues, this makes it very dangerous to be able to pull out hot items from a microwave up top. You always either want to get, put them on a counter level or have them built in at a lower height level. I've seen some that have been installed lower, and sometimes it's too low, but just kind of explore those and just make sure that you put it at a very safe height. You also want to make sure that your stoves the stoves that you use either have the controllers on the front, preferably, or on the side is okay. But some stoves do have the towards the back, and if they're on the side, a lot of times it's kind of harder just to prevent burns. So if they're on the front, it's much safer. And then also some of your refrigerators, French door styles, really kind of helps also promote accessibility as well. Next. So the bathroom is so important in working with an occupational therapist. Every presentation we go out and do together, and with all of her clients, she always tells them if you cannot bathroom at home independently, then you cannot live independently at home by yourself. So sometimes more attention when we're remodeling our bathroom is paid attention to how it's decorated versus the safety in the space, but you can really do both. I'm here to tell you your bathrooms can look, beautiful and still be accessible. And next slide. So when considering making changes to your bathroom, you want to keep in mind the ease and the use and the safety. It's always a good idea to go over each of the components of the bathroom as you decide, which one you're going to incorporate. In the shower area, there are so many options available to you, and for someone that has mobility limitations. And there's some that they can be temporary and very cost effective. And then you can also incorporate some permanent solutions. So for your shower, you could install a permanent bench, or you can have a portable bench, as you can see some of these here. There are different kinds that are available that are adjustable to height. And then also there are adjustable handheld showers that make showers, customizable for any user at any height and any ability. Although a harder to do that requires assistance for a professional, it's important to keep in mind that a wide doorless shower with a zero-step entry is important, for particularly people with wheelchair users. I actually created a zero-step entrance into our bathroom just because I was tired of stubbing my toe on the 1-inch entryway into it that had a track for one of the doors, the swing out doors. And so we created a zero entryway for our bathroom as well. You can also install a full swing in and out shower door if needed, or shower curtains are also available as well. Next, with the toilet, there are comfort height toilets that are available, and we did install a comfort height toilet in one of our bathrooms, but left the other bathroom just the regular height for children, nieces and nephews that come over, but they're really great and easy to use. Let's see. And then next slide. Also, grab bars. Grab bars are not what they used to be. Now they a lot of times come and they look just like a part of the fixtures of your home, and they can be so beautiful. And they can just look like towel racks, or some of your soap, some of your soap holders. They come in various, regardless of how those are installed, regardless if you do get those, you do want to make sure that those are installed by a professional. They do have to be braced, and they just can't just be screwed into the wall because you don't want somebody falling. Next. So this is my bathroom. This used to be a very small bathroom with a dividing wall in there where the shower was. My shower was half the size of this, and then it had a closet, a pantry closet to the right. To be able to get a wheelchair in there or a walker just wasn't going to happen. So we did gut the whole entire bathroom, took out that wall, and it opened it up and really made it accessible. We did, as you can see on the right, I installed the little tiki bench. It looks beautiful and I love it. It's a wonderful accessory in there. And then also installed the sliding shower handle. So this is great. You can shower by, at a sitting position. Any height can use this. And then what we did was placed that on one side of the wall and then the regular shower head on the other. So it becomes a really nice spa experience. For us, we did not install grab bars at this time. However, when we did build this, we did create the base, the bracing behind the walls. So when we are ready to install those, they're ready to go. And of course, when they do go in, they're just going to look like regular towel racks as well. Next. We also widened the doorway to the bathroom to accommodate, if we do need a wheelchair to get in there, to accommodate turning radius, and installed a barn sliding door in there. That door I actually got really inexpensively at a warehouse, stained it myself, and then had it hung. It's been a space saver, and then really opened that up. Next slide. So finally, we're going to turn our attention to other areas of the home. Universal design for living spaces focuses on safety and livability, but also visibility. So having guests in our home sometimes brings light to the quick fixes and the harder to do's that we need to do to make it useful for all the individuals that come to our home. And so next slide. So whenever we want to make sure that we, think about, these spaces when people come over. Of course, when the pandemic's over, we can have people over, but you want to make sure that carpeting, if you have carpeting, that it is tacked down. And then also make sure that furniture is arranged where you can easily get in and out without tripping. You want to at least provide at least 2 feet of clear space between a coffee table or an ottoman, so people really have plenty of room to maneuver and getting up and getting down. Of course, you want to avoid furniture with sharp corners, and then also secure window treatment cords. We installed new blinds that don't even have cords anymore. You simply just push them up or pull them down. And I love them because I always hated dealing with those cords and cleaning the cords. So, and again, just securing those area rugs is so important with the double-sided tape, and making sure that's safe for everyone. Next. Lighting and electrical, you want to make sure that you're using the toggle switches. They're so much easier to use than some of the slides. I have some dimmers in my house that I have not replaced completely yet, but just those tiny knobs are so hard to use. So these are much easier to be able to use, and you can go in and turn them on with an elbow. And then also with your, the ideal heights for switches need to be roughly 3 to 4 feet from the floor. And again, the rocker style ones are much easier to use. And then also, let's see, next slide. And then make sure that the dining furniture is, kind of look at that. If you have traditional or formal dining room in your home, you can also think about repurposing that room into, if you ever need that, into a main level bedroom or craft area or reading nook. For my mom, her bedroom was, we had a mobile home, and her bedroom, once she was able to move back into her own home, was too small for her scooter and her wheelchair. So we actually had to create her bed and living space in her living room. Next. If at all possible, a single floor living plan is ideal. If you do have to have, if you do have 2 stories, just want to make sure that your stairways, that they are well lit. They have railings on both of the sides. And so anyone that maybe is using a cane, they can effectively go up and down. Hallways need to be at least 42 inches wide. And then also, if you're placing furniture in the hallway, just make sure you have at least 36 inches of passing space so people can get in and out of those as well. And then again, if you have carpeting, you want to make sure that those are tacked down with double-sided tape. Next. If you do have 2 stories and living downstairs, you need to get upstairs. There are lifts available. Excuse me. These are can be expensive, or they are expensive, but you'll just want to work with a professional on that, an occupational therapist, to see what your options are. Next. In your laundry room, I did see in a magazine yesterday, and I thought, wow, this would be so nice. But of course, my closets are not big enough to put the washer and dryer in your closets. But if you have a laundry space, you want to make sure that the laundries. The easiest washing machines and dryer to use are these front loaders that you can open one side, pull out your washer, or wash and then put it directly into the dryer. If you can have those elevated, it sure is a back saver. And if you can have those on the main floor of your home, it's really ideal. Next. And then quickly, I just want to go over some resources that are available to you. At ARP, we do have a wealth of information and resources for both residents and communities alike. We do have, of course, our arp.org/HomeFit guide and HomeFit website. There you're going to find some great information. We also do have our arp.org/livable communities that have information on how you can make your entire community more livable, as well as seek out some professionals that can help you do that. Of course, we at ARP here are always available to help you. Also, want to really encourage you to please reach out to occupational therapists. They, of course, know this stuff inside and out and can really help you help create designs that are very livable and accessible. And then also there are certified aging in place professionals out there available to help you as well. You can contact these individuals at the National Home Builders Association's website and look to see who is a certified aging in place specialist. And those are contractors, occupational therapists, so that can help you and that know how to create a universal design home. And then lastly, I want to talk to you really quickly about some caregiving resources. I often do our home fit presentation and our caregiving presentations together because our caregivers are often the ones that are making home modifications for our loved ones so they can stay in their homes as long as possible. At ARP, we have super useful a guide called Prepare to Care Guide that shows you how to create a care team. It will help you understand programs that are available to you. It also goes over some caregiving jargon like what is respite. And then it also importantly has a full workbook to help you organize a care team, organize care for your loved one, and then also has a directory of national organizations that you can help as well. We also have the Medicare Guide for Family Caregivers, which helps a caregiver understand what resources and benefits are available to their loved one and how you go about applying for those. And then also at ARP, each state has an ARP caregiving guide with state and local caregiving resources that caregivers can utilize and contact. All of these resources are completely free. There's no charge for them. You can either download them off the website or if you want some hard copies, we do have those available. Doesn't matter if you want 2 or 200 of them, just give us a call, let us know, and we can mail those directly out to you. We also do have our ARP caregiving website, which has videos, tips, tricks, and additional resources for family caregivers. And then also at ARP on our Facebook page, we have a caregiving page that is for caregivers. You get invited to that page, or actually you go to that page and then become a member of it. There's no charge for it at all, but it's really just a group of caregivers that share their insights, and it's really a great community of support. So if you need those, just let us know. We're happy to get those out to you as well. I will tell you, I was a family caregiver for my mom. The Prepare to Care Guide really helped me get my family's care team together. I get us all on the same page. It also really empowered my mom to become more engaged in her own healthcare decisions. Of course, my job is to really help connect people with services out in the community. And while at the time I was 50 and my mom still saw me as just a naive little girl. So she had a hard time just taking information from me. So I just gave her the Prepare to Care booklet and the Medicare Guide for Family Caregivers and some of our other resources. And I said, hey, just read these. If you have any questions, we'll talk about that. And so she was a night owl. She read them overnight. The next morning she said, hey, Shelly girl, did you know that Medicare provides blah, 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 blah. And I said, yes, mommy, yes. So it really does help people get engaged in their own healthcare, and it really opens up that line of communication that is so needed to really help support the caregivers the way they want to be supported. So with that, I thank you so much. If you do need resources, feel free to reach out to your ARP state office and ask for your community outreach director, or you can always contact me. I'm happy to help you. So with that, I'll turn it over some questions. I appreciate you guys so much, Mado, and thank you for all that you're doing out in the communities. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. We do have a few questions. We've received, that was an excellent presentation. We've received several requests for the slides. They will be available on cms.gov here over the next couple of weeks. If you do want them earlier than that, please send an email to ltssinfo@kaufmaninc.com. That email address is in the chat box. So just send us an email and we'll get those slides out to you. And then all of the links from Michelle's presentation are also in the chat box. So you can access them there as well. So we'll go through some of the questions. If you have questions, please go ahead and enter them into the Q&A box.
And if
So
you would
our
like to become a presenter, we do have this deck available, and we do have it if you wanted to, when you are ready to do in-person events, or even for virtual. We do have it available for you as well, and I would love to connect you with it.
Great, thanks, Michelle. So our first question is, when home health is required, can we advocate the MD and PCP for prescription to include STEADY, Stopping Elderly Accidents, Deaths, and Injuries Protocol? And this person references the CDC STEADY algorithm website.
Absolutely. Of course, with this, I normally do this presentation with an occupational therapist, and we do a lot of discussions on preventing falls. And so that's an amazing resource. And we highly recommend that, any of these resources that are available out there. We don't do anything that sells products or services, but, some of the resources that you're talking about is so valuable, and we highly recommend that.
Our next question is, are there any free or reduced cost resources for ramp installations in California?
So yes, sometimes it just takes a little digging. So for here in Oklahoma, there's an organization called Rebuilding Together. We've worked with them over the years. They're an incredible organization. They help with ramp assistance. They also help with home modifications. So if an individual needed their bathroom remodeled so they can remain in their own home, that's available. You can also check with the VA. They do have home modification grants. Sometimes there's city and county grants that are available. Now those come in the form of a loan, but they're forgivable loans. So here in Shawnee, Oklahoma, a couple of years back, I called and asked them if they had those available, and they said yes, but we can't give it away. And I asked how they were, promoting those, and they said, well, we were putting them in the, their bills. And so I just don't think people understand that those are forgivable loans. They do it that way so people don't secure these loans and use them to flip houses. And then after so many years, then those loans are forgiven. There's also through the Healthcare Authority, Money Follows the Person. Some of those funds can be used for that. And then also, I highly encourage people, if they work within a tribal jurisdiction, regardless if they're a tribal member or not, to reach out to those tribal nations. Sometimes tribes have those funds available, and if they have no other applications in the well, then they'll reach out and help others within the community. And then also, you can also contact some of your utility companies. Here in Oklahoma, OG&E has a weatherization program that we actually pay for, but that can help persons make their home more weatherized and save a little bit on their utility bills.
And thank you. We had a comment related to that. Check with Revitalize, no cost home renovations. Also check with local Habitat for Humanity. And that's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Another question we have, what would be your recommendation for a walk-in tub? Are they cost friendly?
So walk-in tubs, what I would suggest is to consult with an occupational therapist. It just depends on the person's need. Some of the occupational therapists that I've worked with do not recommend them, but if that's, it's really a need base. So sometimes they are helpful, but really just kind of that walk-in, roll-in shower is really the safest and easiest to use. And for a caregiver, it's really easy to help bathe your loved one as well.
Next question, for local costs, was that Genworth and cost of care?
Yeah, so the Genworth website, you can just Google Genworth and cost of care, and I'll copy that and paste it into the chat real quick. But if you just Google that and you can put in your address or your zip code, and it will give you your cost of care within your local area.
Next question, is the virtual assistant covered by Medicare or Medicaid?
I am not sure. Again, that's something you would just need to check with an occupational therapist, and they're really going to have that information.
Great, thank you. We also have another comment that I wanted to share. This person works for a tribal organization as a home physical therapist, and many people get some assistance from their corporations if repairs or modifications are needed. So another source there. And I don't see any more open questions. I'll give everyone another, but we do have a few more minutes if you have questions for Michelle. Couple more questions we have. Do all contractors and home builders incorporate universal designs?
That's a great question. Not all do. For a very, I mean, of course, nowadays you're starting to see a lot more universal design into some of the newer builds because it is attractive. It allows a lot of beautiful light in. It's you know, a lot of the newer homes are the open concept design, but some still continue to build what is, you know, what they're selling. And so it's really important if you are building a home or you know if someone is, take that home fit guide and make sure that it is given to that contractor that they're working with and that they're incorporating some of those designs. And sometimes they don't even offer it as an option. So just make sure that those are being you know, poured into the design of your home, because at some point you're going to have to put those into your home, and why not do it now when it's a little bit of a cost saver, and again, it's not an emergent need.
Great, and I think we have time for one more question. Do you have speakers that can come out or do other virtual events on Home Fit for local communities?
We do. So right now at ARP, we are still working virtually. But so we have this, we do have specialists that can do these virtual, most likely through spring, early summer. But once we get back into the swing of things, we do have individuals that can come out to the communities and speak. So you just reach out to your ARP state office and see who they have available to come and talk. And then if you would like to become a speaker, we would love to train you on the information and provide you with all the resources that you need. And then also I did want to mention, which I forgot to mention, was we do have a great app that's you'll find it on the HomeFit website where you can go in and take a picture of your bathroom and it will start to give you ideas on what you need to do to make your bathroom more accessible. So it's also a great resource available to you.
Great, thank you. One more quick question. If we wanted to become a presenter, where do we inquire about that?
Just reach out to your ARP state office and let them know that you would like to become an ARP HomeFit presenter, and we'll get you signed in as a volunteer. And if you're having a hard time connecting with someone, just give me a call. I'd love to get you connected.
Great. I'd like to thank Michelle for joining us today and sharing all of this fantastic information about home modifications that can help people comfortably age in place. In closing, I'd like to remind everyone that today's webinar was recorded and the audio and presentation slides will be made available online at cms.gov on the Tribal LTSS Technical Assistance Center website. Thank you again for joining today's webinar. Our session is now concluded.